Hello there, Gamerinos and Gamerinas. Welcome to UnicornStorm. This is Rady, and well, I got myself this newfangled PSVR2, as the kids call it. And the box itself was actually a lot smaller than I expected. At first I thought that I maybe didn't order the whole thing. But yeah, it's all there. The set comes with a PSVR2 headset, as well as two PSVR Sense controllers and a box of cables. Compared to the first PSVR, well, the headset itself is about the same size, a bit smaller, but a lot lighter. And it doesn't need a box with a million cables to connect it to the PlayStation and the TV. And it also doesn't need a separate camera to work properly. The new headset is connected to the PS5 with a single cable to the PS5's USB-C port. No extra box, no extra camera, no extra power supply, nothing. When we take a look at the headset, we find an ergonomic head strap similar to the one on the original PSVR, where you push a button on the back to unlock it and kinda pull it open, and a dial to fasten it around your head. There's another dial on the front that you can use to realign the lenses, which is a godsend, because now you can just tweak the gap between the lenses to fit your weird head form. But yeah, joking aside, this is a really neat feature. Then there's once again a button on top of the visor to adjust the distance from the visor to your face. Again, pretty useful. There's a headphone jack in the head strap, and then there are two more buttons on the underside of the visor. One is the power button, one is a kind of see-through button that activates the front-facing cameras so you can watch your surroundings while wearing the headset. And then there is a mic. As for specs, the PSVR2 sports quite a bit more power than the original PSVR. Where the original PSVR only had a resolution of 960 x 1080 per eye, this new one gives you 2K x 2K per eye, with a refresh rate of about 90 up to 120 Hz, same as with the original system. But this one also supports HDR, has eye tracking, a rumble feature within the headset, and the best feature of all, added ventilation to reduce the lenses fogging up, which was the greatest or one of the greater annoyances with the first system. There's also no need anymore for a camera tracking your headset, because the headset itself has 4 outwards facing cameras that track your room, and by that create a virtual playing area, which is far more reliable than the original's system method. Then there are the new VR Sense controllers, and these are finally some actual controllers for the VR headset. The first one only had these weird move controllers that didn't feature a thumbstick or digipad or something like that, and you had to weirdly wave them around to move within a game. It kinda worked for slower games or for games where you just had to stand around and wave them around, where you didn't need to move your character. For example, Space Channel 5. A great dancing game that cost just a little too much. Or adventure-style games where you just teleported around to certain locations and used both your hands to interact with objects, like Deracine. But yeah, most games where you had to move around still worked best with a standard controller or the awesome PlayStation aim controller, which took the Doom 3 experience to a whole other level. It was fucking awesome. But yeah, now we have actual controllers. These PSVR Sense controllers are more or less a regular controller split in half. Well, minus the trackpad and the digipad. You have the left and right thumbstick, you have your 4 face buttons, you have your options and share button and the home button. And you have your shoulder buttons L1, R1, L2, R2, and you can still click the sticks. So everything here that you need for the most part. There will be times when you're gonna miss the digipad, but for now it's fine, and I guess they will design the games around the lack of a digipad, so I guess it's fine. When you first boot up your new PSVR2, you get transported to the setup screen, where you need to make some small adjustments. First, you may, if you wish, connect your headphones that are bundled with the PlayStation VR, which is nice, but those aren't the best headphones as I read. I'm really not an expert in those things. But yeah, you can connect some headphones to it, which might lead to some weird glitches later down the line. Because simply disconnecting your headphones doesn't really tell the system to play the sound through the TV or whatever sound system you have. At first it seemed to me that the PSVR2 always only used headphones, which, well, it might sound a bit weird, but whenever I turned it on, the sound output immediately changed to headphones. But yeah, after restarting the PS5 and turning the PSVR2 on without headphones plugged in, it worked well. I had the sound coming out of my TV speakers, and even my capture card was able to capture it. So yeah, I guess it is only when you set up the thing with the headphones plugged in. Next, the system wants you to pair the PSVR Sense controllers with the PS5 console using a USB cable. And then it's time to put the damn thing on. Pull it over your head, fasten the head strap, push it snug around your face, and adjust the lenses so that each eye is perfectly aligned in the middle. I had to fidget around a lot. It kinda didn't sit right on my head, but yeah, after a bit of work, after readjusting the head strap, repositioning the visor on my face, re-snugging it, it kinda clicked. It kinda worked. After a bit of fidgeting around, I managed to get it into a good position on my face, and then it was time to adjust my playing area. The first PSVR needed a camera to track blue LEDs on your headset to register where you are, where you move your head, where you move your hands, and so on. This new headset uses outwards facing cameras that track the room you're playing in and generate a play area. So you have to look around the whole room so that the system knows where you are in relation to everything else. It even can detect obstacles, things you can bump into. And you need to adjust the eye tracking. That is used for some in-game functions, but also for a unique rendering technique that tracks where you are looking and lowers the level of detail outside of your field of view, which is pretty nifty. You kinda just have to follow a red dot with your eyes. I hope I did it right. I guess I did. But yeah, after the initial setup is done, we can play some VR games. I got myself a few games, not too many, because I just forked over 600 bucks for the PSVR2, so I'm not inclined to pay too much more for too many games. And no, I didn't buy the Horizon Zero Dawn VR game for another 60 bucks, because I'm just not too interested in Horizon Zero Dawn to fork over 60 bucks for the VR game. I did buy a PlayStation version of Resident Evil Village though, to see how the VR gameplay works in this game. But yeah, the first game I played was Drum Rocks. Pretty much Guitar Hero or Rock Band, I guess. Because it's a drum game, you have a drum set and there are drum commands sliding towards the screen and you have to hit the drums, the correct drums, at the correct moment.
driving forward till I forget the sky is blue. No one will know who I am or where I come from. Without a suitcase and without an income.
And here I noticed the first weird issue with the PSVR Sense controllers, but also the first fucking awesome thing about them. For the weird thing, so you have your two shoulder buttons on the controller, but they are in a different position compared to a regular controller. The L1 and R1 button are on top of the controller, pretty much where a shoulder button would be, and you reach it with your index finger. The R2 and L2 button, though, are further down on the controller, and you have to use your middle finger to reach them. And okay, this is the same on regular controllers for games that make heavy use of all four shoulder buttons. But let's be honest, if you're playing a normal paced game where you don't need to use all four shoulder buttons all the time, you just use your index fingers for both the L1 and L2 or R1 and R2 button. But yeah, now you have to use your middle finger, and I'm just not used to it. So the way this controller is set up is that the shoulder buttons simulate you closing your fist, with the R1 button controlling the index finger and the R2 button controlling the rest of the hand. And you can do some pretty sweet stuff with it, like only close your index finger and make a little OK sign, or close your whole hand and have a fist or make a thumbs up, depending on the game, or just close the bottom half of your hand and point with your index finger at anything or make a little finger gun. Now, pretty much all the games I played with the PSVR2 use the R2 or L2 button to grab and hold onto items or objects in the environment. So this is like you closing your fingers around an object and holding it. And this is a bit weird. I'm not used to grabbing object with my middle finger. I'd be more comfortable with using the R1 button and with that the index finger. Fortunately, you can change the control method from holding the button to toggling the input in most of these games' option menus. So you only have to press the button once and then forget about it. It still feels a bit unnatural, especially when it comes to letting go of an object, but well, I guess it's mostly an issue of getting acclimated to the system. It isn't a deal breaker, it's just a bit weird, but I guess after I'm getting the hang of it, after I'm getting more used to playing around with the new VR games with the PSVR Sense controllers, it will become second nature as with any other controller. I mean, I managed with the weird N64 controller, I will get used to this one. And at this point I should mention another neat feature of the PSVR Sense controller, namely the virtual touch feature, or however it is called, where the controller registers your finger placements without you actually touching the buttons. So I guess this helps with this control method. So moving on to the fucking neat thing about the PSVR Sense controller. So aside from them lying surprisingly well in your hand, there's the awesome Sense rumble system. Most of the time it feels as good as with any other PS5 game, but in those certain special moments it's just incredible. And especially in this drum game, I noticed how good the feedback from this rumble system actually was. It really immerses you into the game. You really feel like you're holding this drumstick in your hand, like you're hitting the drums. And to start a song you have to hit the two drumsticks together and you can really feel it. Of course the sound design and the visuals help with the illusion, but it really works, it feels really good. And then there's the headset rumble as well, which can be a bit weird at times, but it's once again, in most cases, pretty immersive. So a really good addition overall. Many games let you choose how you want to play. Do you want to play sitting down? Do you want to play standing up? Do you want to utilize room scaling? Though many games have a preferred method of, let's call it, control. I couldn't really try out the room scaling, but as for sitting down or standing up, there really isn't a real difference. It all comes down to your preference. I guess a game like Resident Evil 8, where you need to grab a lot of things from pouches on your body, like a gun on your shoulder, a knife on your forearm, or ammunition from pouches on your belt. I guess it works better standing up, but you can still play mostly fine sitting down. And the best thing is, so long as you don't do really weird shit with your arms, you will never have a problem with the game not recognizing where your hands are. This was a problem with the original PSVR. Due to the camera, you had always the problem that you couldn't either reach things at your feet or things above your head, because the camera's field of vision wasn't wide enough and you couldn't stand too far away from the camera. And a lot of games didn't give you a in-game crouch option, so you were shit out of luck if you had to constantly pick up stuff high above you or at your feet. But this doesn't seem to be a problem with this system. The PSVR2 seems to always know where your hands, and with that the PSVR Sense controllers, actually are. I'm not sure how it works. Maybe it's the camera, or maybe it's through the Wi-Fi connection with the PS5. But yeah, the game never loses track of your hands. Though I ran into a glitch a few times, and in different games, where the game didn't recognize me pushing the control stick. So I looked around with the right thumbstick, and on multiple occasions the game just stopped turning around. Only for a fraction of a second. Or maybe it stopped completely, because most of the time I just readjusted my view. I pushed the stick again and then it worked again. So it wasn't a permanent problem, but it was noticeable. And I'm not sure if it's a problem with the tech, or if it is a glitch in those games, if they can't really handle too many movement options, head tracking, controller tracking, as well as the thumbsticks. Or maybe it's just a problem with my particular controller. Maybe the thing is broken. But yeah, on that note, playing Resident Evil Village in VR is an amazing experience. For the most part, you control your character as you'd expect from a first-person console shooter. You move around with the left stick, you turn left and right with the right stick, and you can even quick turn with pressing back on the right stick, though you fortunately can turn that off, because I accidentally quick turned around all the time. An interesting, I guess unintended feature of the VR version is that you have full control over where you look at during cutscenes. I guess this is to prevent motion sickness, to not jerk you around, but you can continue to turn your head around and even use the control stick to turn your whole character around during cutscenes, where in the regular version the game forces you to look at a certain scene, but now you can just turn around and see what's behind Ethan at that moment. And there I noticed that a lot of stuff is still animated, even if it is out of view. So there's the scene where this guy turns into a werewolf dude and his daughter appears with a shotgun and shoots him in the face. And I mean, it would have sufficed if she just kinda had the shotgun teleported into her hand, and then when you see her again, she's already holding it. But no, even though you can't see it during normal gameplay, and this was made before there was a VR version, before you were able to look around, and I'm still sure this isn't intended. You can see her walking out of the room to a car and grabbing the shotgun from inside the car. Or another scene where you are led into a house and another guy steps outside, and there is this short little scene where your character mumbles to himself and looks around for a bit, and then you have control of your character again. But when looking around during that cutscene, you can see the guy outside moving past the window. So there's an incredible amount of detail to the animations that are out of sight, which makes it even sadder that there is such a lack of detail or attention to animations and cutscenes that are in your field of view, like the bodies falling through the burning truck. But yeah, back to the actual gameplay and how this game utilizes its VR and motion mechanics. So since you have two controllers, you can move your hands independently. That means you can hold two weapons at the same time, and you can pretty much dual wield anything. So in right-handed mode, your knife is mounted on your left wrist, so you have to pick it up with your right hand, and there's no way to pick it up with your left hand. You sadly can't pick up objects from your hand, so you can't just swap hands. Your handgun is positioned on your right hip, and you can grab it with your right hand as well as with your left hand. So it is possible to grab the gun with your left hand and grab the knife with your right hand and use both these weapons in unison. But I mean, you can also just hold on to the gun and grab your shotgun from behind your shoulder and dual wield a shotgun and a handgun. Now, I already mentioned that you might miss the digipad when it comes to certain games. While it is fun to grab all the different objects from places on your body, it also takes a lot more time. And sometimes you just can't get to grab the thing you need. While grabbing the flashlight or your map isn't too much of a problem, because you mostly do that when you have enough time, when you are in a calm situation, but there are a lot of items that you need during combat. Whereas swapping weapons only took a fraction of a second, now you have to physically move your hands around and find the weapon on your body. And if you need to reload a weapon, you need to grab the ammunition for it from your ammo pouch and load it into your weapon and turn off the weapon's safety and whatever you need to do with it. I'm not a weapons expert. Though there is an option for quick reload where the game executes the whole reload animation lightning fast, which I guess is a viable option during firefights. I mean, you can still reload slowly after the battle. So I guess this is for immersion, and the quick reload function is just for efficiency. Now, healing yourself during combat is a bit of a problem, because you first need to grab a healing vial from your left shoulder, and then you need to pop off the cap, and then you need to pour it over your wounds or your body, somewhere over yourself. And while this is, once again, fun and immersive, during combat it's fucking obnoxious and it kills you. I mean, I guess you can master it, but yeah, I didn't get it to work in the heat of the battle, and I died. I died a lot in the first big encounter of the game, because it's more complicated to ready your weapons and fire it, to heal yourself. And it is more complicated to pick up items or interact with the environment, because now there are multiple ways, multiple inputs to interact with your environment. Most of the items you can pick up by simply pressing the X button. But then there are items you need to pick up with your actual hand, with a grab button. Some of the doors you have to open by pressing a button. Some of the doors you have to open by grabbing the handle and turning it. You can climb down a ladder by pressing the X button. You need to climb up the ladder by holding onto it with your grab button. There is a logic to it, and you can acclimate to it, but at first it will fuck you over during a fight. But still, it's great fun, and I have to say, as much as I hate the game for what it does to the Resident Evil franchise, it's remarkable how much content you get with this simple game, how much the devs poured into it. And yeah, aside from me fumbling around with grabbing my weapons and using my items, it's a great VR experience, and it really gets my hopes up for what comes next. Though I did encounter a few more issues. When trying to read notes or the subtitles, it was sometimes hard to really get them into focus. I had to squint a bit, there was some ghosting when it came to the on-screen text, and I'm not sure if it's due to my lenses not being correctly configured or me looking wrong at the things, or if it is an actual problem that needs to be ironed out. Then there was the aforementioned issue with the camera stick, and then there was a weird, I guess, glitch where whenever I picked up a note while holding the flashlight itself disappeared, but the cone of light still existed and was now controlled with the head tracking. I don't think this is intentional. But yeah, moving on. I played some puzzle games, adventure games, stuff like that. I played Onogoro, a shooty puzzle game. I kinda expected something else, but it's fine. It's not the greatest of games. It's a little puzzle game where you need to draw elemental energy from different sources and shoot the corresponding enemies to kill them or activate switches and stuff. The puzzles aren't too hard or too creative, but they are mostly fine. This mostly feels like a little tech demo for the basic functionality of the PSVR. You have your little sidekick that is chained to a rock, and you can pull the rock with your guns, and you can move around and look around and use the buttons on the controller to adjust the distance of your little grabby beam, and you can fling the little rock around by just waving your hands around. So yeah, the game just shows off all the things you can do with the PSVR2. It's a fine little game, it works well enough. There was one infuriating puzzle, not because it was hard, just because it was finicky as fuck. And your sidekick talks way too long and way too much for how short all these little levels are. But yeah, as a little PSVR demo game, as a little puzzle game, it is fine. It could be a bit cheaper, but it's fine for the most part. I also played Cosmonious High, which is a funny little adventure thingy, a physics-based game that sprouts some pretty humorous and sharp writing and has some creative uses of your VR and motion functionality. It's very Rick and Morty-esque. You are in this space high school and you are a little alien thingy and you are surrounded by other alien thingies, but you are special because you can harness the elements and you can use your powers to solve a lot of physics-based puzzles and wreak a lot of havoc. Stuff reacts to just brushing your hands against it, and you interact with objects like you did in all the other VR games. So you grab with the L and R2 button, you can give a thumbs up to your friends by closing your fist completely, you move by teleporting around, and you can shoot elemental beams and stuff by pressing a button on each of your controllers. And you can combine your different elemental abilities. I haven't played too much of it up until now, but I already discovered that you can combine your water and your ice beam to create ice cubes. Which I guess isn't the biggest discovery of my life, but it's still a lot of fun. The whole game is a funny physics sandbox, and it's once more, I guess, more of a tech demo for the PSVR2, but the witty writing will give you a good time, and there are some creative uses of all your VR powers, abilities, stuff. Now, my highlight of this whole VR tryout experience was Startenders. And yeah, this might sound weird, but I am a sucker for those food preparation games. I love me some Cook Serve Delicious, I'm still sad that I won't ever get to play the Cold Stone Creamery game because it's region locked to US Wii consoles and I don't want to mod my console or buy a US console. And yeah, just this frantic food preparation gameplay, I love this stuff. And now it's in VR with some pretty darn good motion control. You are in your virtual bar space in space and all your patrons just walk up to you and you have to give them a thumbs up to signal that you are ready to take their order, and then they give you a recipe and you have to prepare the correct drink. There are a variety of different options. You have some bottled stuff, you have your little soda thingies, you have fruit, and you have a lot of dirty glasses that you need to clean up first. You can prepare them beforehand or not, it's up to you. And you have to swap multiple pieces of bar equipment to prepare the drinks, and you need to swap between those machineries. With the more complicated drinks, the whole process can become pretty frantic, but yeah, I just love this kind of gameplay. So this is a lot of fun for me. There's not much to do and it doesn't even need to be on PSVR2. But I guess just the fact that I'm not reliant on a camera keeping track of my hands is already a big plus for this game or for this system. I can't even imagine, or well, I pretty much can imagine how hard or how finicky this whole game would be on the regular PSVR. So yeah, I'm quite glad that I can play it on a PSVR2. So yeah, these are for now the games I can play on my PSVR2. And there will be more soon. I'm looking forward to this one game, I forgot the name right now. I looked it up, it's called Before Your Eyes. An adventure game that's already available on PC and stuff, but that you can play on the PSVR2 exclusively with the eye tracking feature. And yeah, I want to see more of that. I want to see how this system utilizes the eye tracking. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that, and I guess there will be a video on that one as well. So far I'm pretty happy with this system, even though my neck isn't that happy, because yeah, the headset, even though it's a lot lighter than the first one, it can still get heavy quite quickly while playing a VR game and looking around all the time. And in a lot of these games you have to look up quite a lot. Especially in Resident Evil 8, it seems everyone's taller than you and everything is above you, and you need to look up the whole time, and yeah, you get a stiff neck quite fast. But I mean, yeah, you have a screen on your face while playing, and I don't think science will solve this problem that fast. Still, for what it is right now, it's pretty fun, it's pretty awesome tech. It works amazingly well, and even though it's a good amount of money, you get a lot of value for the pricing. So yeah, I can totally recommend this system, this gameplay style to anyone who doesn't need to instantly vomit while playing in VR. So yeah, thumbs up from me. It's a great system, even though most of the games for now are quite simple, they are still a lot of fun, and there is so much creativity within each and every one of them. So yeah, it's a great addition to the gaming landscape, and I hope to see much more of this stuff. But yeah, for now I'm going to end this video and wish you the greatest of days. This has been Rady, and I hope to see you again on the next game, be it VR or not. Have a good one.
Hi, do you have